Please watch this video before you end up doing something illegal.
How are you guys doing today? My name is Apple, and today we're talking about primary trade lines and seasoned primary trade lines. So just a quick disclaimer, I am not endorsing any products, nor am I trying to sell anything or provide any financial advice in this video, just trying to give you guys some information, so please don't sue me. So I've been getting asked a lot of questions about primary trade lines recently. I think they're the trendy thing right now to sort of talk about when it comes to credit and credit scores. So I figured in this video, I would just cover what they are, why somebody would want one, and potentially a better solution, because I really don't think that primary trade lines are a great way to go, especially due to the fuzzy legality on primary trade lines and especially seasoned primary trade lines. All right, so what are primary trade lines in the first place? Well, according to Investopedia, a trade line is a record of activity for any type of credit extended to a borrower and reported to a credit reported agency. A trade line is established on a borrower's credit report when a borrower is approved for credit. So essentially a trade line is just a line of credit extended from a financial institution to you as a borrower. So it's pretty straightforward, right? You go to the bank, you ask them for a car loan, for a mortgage, for a credit card, they give it to you, you now have a trade line. But what is the distinction between a primary trade line and a secondary trade line? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So with a primary trade line, it is you that opens the account and it is you that are the account holder. So if you go to the bank, if you go to US Bank and you open a credit card, you now have a primary trade line. That credit card is a primary trade line because you went in, you opened it, and it is your name on the credit card, on the account. So that is 100% yours, 100% a primary trade line. Now for a secondary trade line, you just went to US Bank, you got your credit card, and now you go over to your friend Joe. And you say, hey, Joe, I got this new credit card. Do you want to be an authorized user on it? And Joe says, sure, I'll be an authorized user on your credit card. So you make Joe an authorized user, which basically just means they have a copy of the card and you're still responsible for it, but it's good for them to be able to build credit and it helps you accumulate more points on your card. So Joe is now an authorized user, and now Joe has a secondary trade line in that authorized user card that you provided to them. So a secondary trade line is one where you are not the primary account holder, but your name is still on the account. So you as the primary account holder are still responsible, but they are able to build credit on that account that you extended to them. So what's been going on lately is there are a lot of websites popping up where they are offering you the ability to buy trade lines. So as you know, the more lines of credit you have on your report, the more that benefits your credit score. And businesses and individuals who are looking to quickly benefit their credit score have gotten this idea that maybe they should go out and buy, essentially buy their credit score by buying trade lines that will be added to their credit report, okay? So essentially it's like going out and buying a credit card. So you go out to the bank and you say, here's $100, give me a credit card so it looks good on my credit report. That is what these websites are doing. So when it comes to the legality of this, obviously I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert on trade line law or anything, but the line is definitely a little bit fuzzy. So the reason people want these is because obviously they want to boost their credit score. They want to essentially inject more lines of credit onto their credit report, in my opinion, artificially, so that they can achieve a higher credit score so that they can potentially qualify for a lower interest mortgage, or if they're a business, they can qualify for a loan from a bank. All of these different options why somebody would want to artificially increase their credit score. And I mean, that's sort of how the credit card game goes, right? So you build credits that you can pay lower interest rates throughout your life, but some people sort of want to hack the system and expedite or quickly rebuild their credit score. And that is where seasoned trade lines come in. So what is a seasoned trade line? Well, essentially a seasoned trade line is a trade line that has already been used and it has already built up some good history. So the greatest contributor to your credit score is your payment history. So if you have on-time payments consistently, that's going to reflect very, very well in your credit score. Now, say you got off track, you missed a couple payments, and now your payment history sucks. You might get the idea in your head that, oh, I should go out and buy a trade line that has great payment history so that will benefit my payment history and it'll recover me from this mess that I'm in. And that is where seasoned trade lines come in, because seasoned trade lines are trade lines, so say credit cards. When I say trade lines, just think of credit cards. So seasoned trade lines are trade lines that have already been used and already established a solid base of good spending habits, good payment history, good credit utilization, all of these things that are going to greatly impact your credit score in a very, very nice way. Say you're 20 years old. Say you're me and you're 19 years old and you want to boost your credit score. What you could do is you could ask your parent who has a good credit score, who has good credit habits. You could ask them, you could say, hey, could I become an authorized user on your credit card in order to help me establish mine? And that's actually what I have done, and I'm in the process of being an authorized user on my parents' credit card. And you could say this, and if they say yes and they put you on, you now have a seasoned secondary trade line because your parents have already used this card and established it very well, and now you are getting added to it as a secondary trade line on your account. So it's going to benefit your credit score. So that's great. That's a seasoned secondary trade line, an example of that. So one of the things you can do online is you can buy these seasoned secondary trade lines. So there are people who are willing to sell these, or maybe they just farm them. Maybe they just open a bunch of credit cards, get some good payment history in, and then start selling off authorized user slots on their cards, stuff like that. And you can buy these in order to boost your credit score instead of just approaching somebody you know who has a good credit history, good credit habits, and asking them if you can become an authorized user on their card. So that's seasoned secondary trade lines. That makes sense, right? So you've got that authorized user card. But what about seasoned primary trade lines? Because a primary trade line is a trade line that's in your name and that you open. So how can that work? How can you have a primary trade line that has existed for longer than you have had it? Well, this is where legally things get a little bit tricky, because in order to do this, the people who are selling seasoned primary trade lines, the most common practice that I have seen is through backdating. So what is backdating? Backdating is essentially the process of filling out legal forms with a date that was in the past. Now, hearing that, you might think, wow, that sounds really illegal and maybe even a little bit like fraud. And to that, I would say, yeah, it kind of does. But backdating is legal in some scenarios, such as if there are big decisions that need to be made and contracts that need to be signed, but there's a lot of negotiating that needs to happen in between, and the contract needs to be in effect, but you have to negotiate on the terms. There are some scenarios where backdating is a legal practice and is actually pretty regularly done. But in this scenario, in my very limited knowledge of financial law, this does seem a little bit sketch. And I'm definitely not offering any legal advice here, so don't sue me, but I think if anyone's offering you the ability to buy a seasoned primary trade line or aged primary trade line, these are pretty synonymous terms, I think there's a good chance that something illegal is probably going on there. Because a primary trade line, like we saw, it has to be opened in your name. So this account has to be opened in your name, and if you're buying it and it's seasoned, that means it has existed before you open it. So how is that going to work legally? That is my question. But always ask a lawyer for actual legal advice, because I am not the one to ask for legal advice. All right, guys, what's the better solution for buying seasoned primary trade lines? Well, again, no financial advice here. Don't sue me. But one, I'm gonna say play the game by the rules. So get a credit card, establish some history, get some lines of credit that you can establish history on, ideally a bunch of credit cards so you don't have to pay any interest, and get those going and build your credit score naturally over time. Because this should be a process. It should take time, and trying to beat the system or expedite the process, in the end, it's not going to be sustainable and it's not going to help you in the long term. If you've got bad habits, you can't buy yourself a way to a good credit score through primary trade lines. And my second thought is that you should just get a seasoned secondary primary trade line for free. So, I mean, there's a very good chance you know people who are good with credit, who have been building credit for a long time, namely parents, relatives, really anybody, coworkers, just anybody that's older than you, probably if you're a young person, and who has a solid credit history. You can approach them and ask them if you could become an authorized user on one of their cards that has a long history. Now, when doing this, the person might be like, no, you're not gonna have my credit card, I don't trust you that much. But what you can tell them is you don't even need the card. Like, they can literally hold on to the card, never use it, put it in a shoebox, put it in their closet, anything. But if you have that on your report, it's going to positively impact your credit score just because it's on there and just because your credit history is now longer than it was before. But again, just make sure it is someone who you trust and somebody who has a good credit score, because you want that to positively impact you instead of negatively impact you. All right, guys, so that was my 2 cents on primary trade lines, seasoned primary trade lines, and just trade lines in general, buying them, why I think it's probably not the best idea, and why I think you should really stick to the rules of the game rather than trying to sort of game the system and hack the credit card game. I think you should really just play by the rules and not get yourself in any legal trouble by trying to buy some seasoned primary trade lines. So if you guys did enjoy this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe. Additionally, I just opened up an Instagram page. It is Apple Creator Official. So if you want to follow me, boost my self-esteem, I've got like 20 followers right now. So be sure to hop over there and do that. Thank you guys very much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys learned something new in this video. I know I learned a lot in researching for this video. I will see you guys tomorrow, and until next time. Wait. I did not mean to clap yet. I was supposed to mention our sponsors in this video. Let me check. Oh wait, it's me. Well, in that case, if you are a college student or otherwise financially strapped individual looking to invest, I put together a completely free course. Link for that will be found in the description below. It's called $100 and a Smartphone, and it's going to walk you through the process of putting your first $100 to work from the comfort of your smartphone. Included in this course is a free 30-minute Skype call with yours truly. So if you want to talk through any personal finance related topics that relate to you personally, some one-on-one stuff, if you're interested all in that, be sure to sign up for one of those. And yeah, if you're interested in more details, the link will be in the description below, and it is 100% free.